Newsflash, Saint Germain is Anunnaki. My name is Hudson and welcome to World Peace Projects. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a lot of information to share with you guys over time. And first I want to let you know, for anybody who is not aware, that the Federal Trade and Commissions has come in to implement a ton of changes to YouTube. Google is overtaking YouTube officially, and starting December 10th from YouTube's end, January 1st from the FTC's end, they're implementing the, it's called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA. So basically what this is going to do is going to hold each creator, each channel owner, legally responsible for every single video, anything that they're putting out, even things that aren't controlled by us in regard to maybe YouTube algorithms. If COPPA and the FTC deem any of our content geared towards children and this extremely vague infrastructure that they're implementing, they can fine us individually up to $43,000 per video. YouTube is also going to be taking this opportunity to shut down all channels that they do not deem commercially viable. I am not monetized, so let's see what that means. But regardless of that, it's simply not worth it, because also if you are reviewed and you are found accountable with infractions, you are also susceptible to Google canceling your Google account. And that's huge in regard to business and all sorts of things, because as many of us know, Google's tied to everything. So a lot of us will be disappearing. And because of that, please follow me on Patreon, follow me on Vimeo, log in to my website and subscribe to receive e-newsletters. I would love for you to keep receiving content that I'm going to be excitedly indulging in. There's a ton going on right now that I'm super excited to offer you guys. And I will also link 2 links for a petition, and where you can write a comment to the FTC, which would help all of us, because not just the creators, but obviously the viewers, you guys are going to be affected. So many channels are about to disappear. Most channels are supported by their monetization, or they've made a business out of it, and you know, everybody's at risk here. It's a really big deal. And you'll see this happening within a couple weeks. So anyhow, let's talk about this highly controversial to many people revelation that I have just been exposed to in the past couple months. Some people might know, a lot of you aren't going to believe it, which brings me to the point and the importance of discernment. You are the only person that can ever know what is true for you, what is real and resonates. So please, please, please always use that guidance of your discernment, your intuition for everything that you experience in your life. That is your birthright. So, as many of you know, I have been working with Saint Germain for quite a while, just like I had worked with the archangels for quite a while. Well, my life has completely changed in the last few months, and I have blown the lid off so much, not just in these types of experience, but personal revelations and understandings. And so one of the things that has come to light, and I will offer you guys some links in some studies and historical facts around this, though you need to know as well, my guidance, my knowing, my ability to ask Saint Germain, to channel, to communicate, has solidified this knowing. So up and beyond whatever you might be able to research, I am clear as day on this. And we're going to go back a little bit to the creation story. I'm going to give it to you guys a little bit vaguely, because this is not my expertise. There are many people who have studied this that know a lot more than me, but I'll give you the gist of what I'm coming to know. And this is constantly changing, just like beliefs. There's a gentleman who says that beliefs are in agreement with reality. We're always changing our beliefs and gathering more information. And a lot of us know this stuff is very elusive. So we have to be open to what resonates and be willing to be flexible and change as more information and knowing comes through. So Saint Germain is the hierarchical leader of the Great White Brotherhood. From this aspect of that incarnation, we view Saint Germain as a beloved master and teacher who offers us alchemical awareness and assistance in this new age. He is the predominant authority that oversees the New Age movement that many of us are experiencing or aligning with, have aligned with, or are getting on board with. So let's rewind this. Rewind. If we have any awareness about the Anunnaki, who basically are our parents. The Anunnaki came in, 450,000 years ago is what I believe at this point. And they hybridized the already existent hominid at that time. So Anu is the emperor of the Anunnaki, and he brought forward 3 children who came to Earth, Enki, Enlil, and Ninmah. These 3 oversaw the domain of what they termed Earth, what I would like to still continue to call Gaia and Terra, because Ea, E-A, is also a word for Enki, so the word Earth is their domicile. Gaia is her sovereign truth. Terra is her 3D aspect. That's important. So Enki is known to be a more compassionate ruler. He's the one who gave us some of the secrets of the gods. He took pity on us. He said, wait, these humans that we have created, they're intelligent, they have the ability to learn, they deserve to understand. Enlil was more like his father. He was a military being. He was the gods of storms and weathers. He was fierce. And Ninmah is the mother, also known as Ma-Mi. She's basically the mother figure. She and Enki created the hybrid human that we have now descended into. So Anu, as the emperor, comes down in his spaceship, the first astronauts that you can read about in Sumerian and Babylonian texts. And he brings his children, his offspring. He brings Enki, Enlil, and Ninmah. Now, there's quarreling over the children who have inherited the earth, basically. And Anu says, enough with this. What we're going to do is we're going to divvy up your rulership for each cycle. The Anunnaki brought us the awareness of what we term astrology, and their sacred number 12, that's an Anunnaki number. If we look at the astrological cycles, each zodiacal sign has dominion and rulership for about 2150 years. So he says, you will each divvy up the cycles of your rulership. Well, we have moved into the age of Aquarius, December 21st, 2012. This shifts the rulership. So what I believe this is that Enlil had the previous rulership. When we look at the Cabal, I'm going to hop around a little bit, you guys. When we look at the Cabal, we see the symbolic black and white squares representing dark and light. This is 2 factions of the same beast, okay? Different heads of the beast is how we've heard it be termed. So Enlil represents the black square, okay? Enki represents the white square. Not quite sure where Ninmah disappeared into this, but hey, we are living in an inverse reality where the female has been suppressed and is struggling to rise up and take her ownership. So we're shifting from the black square to the white square. Well, Enlil doesn't really want to give up his rulership, even though it's supposed to be his time. So we look at the difference between the experiences of the Illuminati and the Cabal. The Cabal brings in a lot of very different type of Saturnian energy where we see all of this horrific experiences. Though the Great White Brotherhood brings in more awareness around peace, alchemy, New Age, in a more freeing, seemingly freeing experience. So Enki is ruling in now. Now, Saint Germain, which is Enki, because if you look over the timelines, these beings have lived a very, very long time, depending on what's going on in society and cultures and the population at the time. They come in with different roles, different beings. They present as different beings through the ages, and we can see this in progression when we look at incarnations, because they represent the same thing, that they're in different form. For example, if we're looking at Enki, we can see Thoth, we can see Prometheus, we can see, I believe, Hermes. If we look at Enlil, we can see Zeus. We can see, I believe, Osiris. If we look at Anu, we can see Kronos. If we look at Ninmah, we can see basically any of the feminine deities that have been hierarchical. We can see Venus, we can see Ishtar, we can see Isis. So they take on different roles depending on the timelines that they're incarnating into. Different names, same being. Currently, and it's been for a while, Saint Germain has been the role that Enki chooses to move through and present through. Now, many of us have heard about the debt jubilee, NESARA, the National Economic Security and Reformations Act. Some of us have what we believe to be the inside scoop about NESARA and ultimately GESARA, which is the global implementation. This is a law that was implemented, I believe, in 1998, but we can look it up to be clear. There were some farmers, I hope I'm going to say this right, there were some farmers who took the governments to court. It might have been the states to court. They took it to Supreme Court because the government came in and said, we're going to take away your land, and there's nothing you can do about it. So the farmers said, oh, no, no. They took them to court, and they won. And a law was created, an act was created that implemented many changes. And as far as I remember it, because I've known about NESARA like a lot of us for years now, this implements a complete auditing of the IRS, the Fed. It changes everything. It squashes a lot of debt. It restructures our entire financial system. And it's already implemented into law, but it's not currently enacted upon. So for those of us who do a bit of homework, but it's not hard to be aware of this, the morning of the 9/11 catastrophe, some New York banks were about to open their doors implementing NESARA at 10 a.m. Well, as I remembered, at 9 a.m., the Twin Towers were struck. This was the Black Square Cabal attacking not just the human population, but also the white squares. They said, oh, no, no, no. We're not giving up rulership that easily. So there's a lot of historical information and factual information that's been given about this that did a lot of damage to financial computer systems. There was also a third tower that most people don't know about. When those towers went down in that demolition, a lot of information and technology went with it that was very difficult to recoup. So moving forward, what we call the white hats, they're still pressing forward, they're still persevering, because after all, even though Enki is controller Anunnaki, he is the more compassionate one. So some of us have heard about the 1,000 years of peace. Now, we all have a choice here, okay? So even if we're not conscious of our choices, we still have a choice. And Satan worshipers have a choice to worship Satan. Christians have a choice to be Christian. People have a choice to opt in to the Saturnian black square experiences. People also have a choice to opt in to the White Lodge, Great White Brotherhood, White Square, New Age experiences. People also have a choice to opt out of all controller inverse matrices and align with sacred sovereignty. It's a choice. Now, it kind of comes down to the short game or the long game, okay? Because when the debt jubilee rolls in, and I do believe it's going to, and I think it's going to happen relatively soon, it is going to squash all debt. It is going to pay out each U.S. citizen enough money that they probably won't have to work again. And then it's going to roll out through the global society. It's going to squash our fiat currency as we know it, and it will be backed by gold and precious metals. No more funny money that we've been using. It's going to change everything. And people are going to love this. They're going to be all over it. Who wouldn't? Here's your allotted birthright of your prosperity funds. And now you don't have to struggle. You can continue to work, but you can do your passion projects now. You don't have to slave away at some 9-to-5 that you hate because you're scared. You don't know how to keep the lights on and feed your family. All of that goes bye-bye. That sounds fabulous. It comes at a cost. So it comes at the cost of buying in even more, because you're going to sign off on this one, to what I'm going to term very blatantly as selling your soul. In another way, there are many things that we have been forced into or not aware of as how we already sell our souls. It's already happening. Though this is going to be the next two-headed beast, okay? Now, you can choose that. And that's going to be the short game, because it will bring forward the 1,000 years of peace. It will assist in many ways, most likely, this incarnation if it plays out in that timeline. Though, just know that it absolutely takes a long-term soul evolutionary toll on your experiences as a being, as a spirit-embodied being. As essence of source. That's when you really start to get into what all of this means. Now, the Anunnaki play the long game. The Saturnian entities and beings play the long game because they have embraced their immortality. Even the ones that are in flesh and body have an extremely longer life cycle than how humans have currently been capped. At the best you're going to get is 120 years. So they're not too worried about, one cycle of our lifetime. They play the longer game. Most people are only concerned with your lifetime. But of course, because we're aligning with dominant human, we're not necessarily aligning with spirit and soul as an immortal being. So you also have a choice. You have a choice to opt out of all of it. Right? You have a choice to say, no, thank you. I don't want the money. I'm not going to collect. I'm not going to sign off. Okay? Now, that might not be the most enjoyable, prosperous experience comparatively. Though, for those of us who are dedicated to re-piecing our souls back together and owning our authority as a spirit-embodied being, that's the only choice. But again, it's just a choice. it's your lifetime, it's your incarnation, you can do whatever you want, right? So I bring this information right now because the lid is about to blow off a lot of things. We've seen it, it's ramping up, though it's time for us to get a much more clearer understanding behind the curtains of what's going on in this inverse reality. Now, you did hear me mention that this has to do with the New Age, which is quite unfortunate for many of us, but it is time for us to become aware that the Vatican, which controls the spiritual sector, okay? So we've got the three-headed beast, the original three-headed beast. We've got London. London controls the financial sector. We've got the Vatican. The Vatican controls the spiritual and religious sector. And then we've got Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. controls the military factor, the three-headed beast, okay? So the Vatican implements the world's religions no matter what anybody says. They've got control and dominion over all of it. Now, they've seen that the newer generations, the younger generations, are moving away from man-made religions. They're not as interested anymore. They don't want to be indoctrinated in these limiting beliefs and views and rules. So they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to come up with a more global, worldly, it is a religion, but we don't view it that way. So dogma, let's call it, and we're going to term it the New Age, because after all, we are the New World Order. We're going to chock full it of alchemical experiences because Saint Germain rules alchemy. We have all sorts of experiences around astrology, which I completely love astrology. I love tarot, all of this, okay? Because these are tools that offer us awareness into the more expansiveness of spirit truth. Though Saint Germain and the New World, the New World Order, but what I meant to say is the Great White Brotherhood utilize the alchemy when you start looking at the tiers of the Cabal, the Illuminati, and seeing the ways in which these are structured with the Masonic Lodge and the Great White Brotherhood. All of them have their different versions of alchemy. Okay, they have their own ceremonies and traditions. So alchemy is a gift that we have to access the ether, the spirit. So innately, it's neutral. It's simply been utilized in certain ways for certain things. We look at white magic, we look at black magic. You can take something and morph it into however you want to utilize it depending on your will, your intention, and your agenda. So the New Age movement, which is sweeping the globe, all of us are buying into this very specifically packaged experience that is more expansive, more spirit aligned, more freeing, more indoctrinated with false white light than the heavy burdening Catholic experience or any other religious indoctrinations that have these rules that go against your natural inclinations of being a human. Now, it's important for us to start letting go, if we want to get real about our sovereignty, our birthright. Why don't we just let all of this go for a minute? Okay, let everything go. Release it all. Ultimately, no matter what being is presented to you, my stomach's gurgling, no matter what alchemical tool, no matter what ceremony, no matter what astrological representation or channeling comes through, or angel or galactic, all of this is still outside, all of it. Some of it is aligned with what we call negative polarity, some of it is aligned with positive polarity, but there's a whole lot of gray area and overlap. After all, we do exist in an inverse reality. So your most efficient way of navigating truth is your access to spirit in self. And your access to spirit in self is going inside. It's not going out, no matter what out looks like, no matter how loving out represents itself, no matter how amazing the groups or the councils or the beings or whatever come forward to show you and bring miracles and give you waves of peace. It doesn't mean that that's not true, but the only way for you to clarify through and through what is and what is not is for you to get so connected with spirit that your knowing gives you access to the awareness of the all that is. It is you. You are not a victim. You do not need the other beings. We have to remember this. They are not more enlightened. They are not more powerful. They simply know and have not been eluded in the way that we have of how the game works. But you have pure direct access to spirit and source. That is your most ultimate power, and they're trying their damnedest to cover that up so that you don't access your innate power that can blow them out of the water. So it's so important for all of us to start to look at the ways in which we get pulled and pushed and navigating this and that and this belief, and we heard this and this and this. There's so much, and it's infinite. Everything is possible. So instead of this, let's go inside. Let's access self. I mean, and I'm even talking about all guidance systems. If it's not simply internal knowing of spirit truth, you know, you're welcome to question any guides. You're welcome to question your higher self. You're welcome to question everything. Why? Why do they want you to do that? Why are they telling you that? Let's start reactivating our thought process around critical thinking and discernment. Discern through your heart, ask questions through your mind. What voice am I hearing? Who's communicating telepathically? Why am I feeling an energetic pull to that energy or a pushback? What is all of this? Let me clarify, rather than just believing what I'm hearing telepathically or through channeling or the messages I'm receiving around me. Because yes, you manifest your reality, though your beliefs and anything that's put into your space can manifest your reality. So just because something is appearing to you over and over and over doesn't necessarily mean that it is a sign that you should move forward with it. It can simply just mean that it has also been placed into your reality to get your attention, and or you've been believing that or looking at it or putting energy towards it. We have to be more discerning about how, what, and why we're manifesting our reality, okay? There are so many different parts of us. We are 99% subconscious. That 99% dictates your reality. The best of us are only 5% conscious. That's amazing. So let's get real discerning here and understand that we absolutely have the ability to make a choice for our sacred sovereignty, and knowing that not everything is as it seems, and that's okay, because that's the game. It's always been. Our best, most efficient line to protection and knowing and expansion and assistance of self and all of that wonderful stuff is know thyself through and through. Do you know what your body can do? Do you know how your mind works? Do you know how to activate your heart? Have you used your telepathic abilities yet? Can you sense and read and feel energy yet? All of these things are your birthrights. So if we're still looking outside of us, even if it's spiritually aligned, looking outside, there's so much that we have to offer ourselves. Now, fear is the best, most efficient tool that has been used next to our will or our spirit. It's such a brilliant artificial mock-up that is a driving force that makes people be real proactive, you know? And so start to play again. How much in your life is still motivated by fear? Because we're going to see that a lot of people are going to give up so much fear when they are presented with the opportunity of a debt jubilee, wiping out all of your debt, giving you back some of your soul humanity birthright access to prosperity. Here is free abundance. Here is money. Do what you want. Live the way you were innately created to live, right? That's going to be fabulous. People are going to be peeling off fear left and right. So it's like, which one's the lesser of two evils, right? So I'm not saying that there's anything, I'm not judging any of that, because that's a fabulous experience. If we're going to be controlled, if that's going to be regardless, let's enjoy it a little bit more. Let's have a little bit more prosperity. Let's have some more happiness. Let's be able to trust that we can provide for our basic needs. Things like this. That's a lot better, right, than the fear-mongering. But just be aware, it's still an umbrella of control, right? It's your choice. It's all of our choices to buy in or not, to stir some asking questions and checks and balances. Because it might be more difficult, you know, materially not to buy in. Though one has to make their own discernment and decision of value systems. Is it more valuable, and does it ring true for you that this is also another form of control to get you to sign on the dotted white line, or the dotted line, however you say that, you know? Sign off your signature, right? And here you go. Because after all, isn't Satan always offering us some kind of pleasure in exchange? Take note, okay? I'm not saying that it's not going to help a lot of people, but be aware of the age-old, simple, very, very simple seduction that is the Saturnian experience and matrix. Dark square, light square. Two sides of the same coin, representing in different, unique expressions. We have the ability to command our spirit to realign with self, our soul. We don't have to give up our essence in the name of comfort, luxury, convenience, and because we're scared. We still have a choice. Very, very important, right? And there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be presented at us in a different way, because a lot of us are waking up to how it has been, right? So they're always tweaking and changing the game. But we're savvy. We're brilliant. We have spirit access. We absolutely can tune into our birthright and know what is best and true for us. So I challenge you to start questioning what you currently believe in and think is true and real that might be packaged in a pretty way with beings and spiritual energy and new age and you know, galactics and this and that, okay? Presentation might look all good, but if we don't have the ability, and of course this is reflective of what's going on inside, if we don't have the ability to access the subconscious, the truth, we're not going to have the ability to discern what's going on, even though that layer of the onion looks nice. It looks good. It even feels good energetically. If we don't know how to access our deepest knowing, we're not going to know how to discern what's in front of us. I hope that this assists. There's so much more information to share with you guys. Again, please, please, please follow me on Patreon and Vimeo. I'm just barely setting up the accounts, but at least you can grab my link, and hopefully the next time I post a video, that'll be all ready to go. I hope you guys are great. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.